What?
It's time now for My Two Favorite Librarians. Brought to you by the Copper Tree Boutique in Dales Grand Market, located in beautiful, historic downtown Amherst.
Hi, this is My Two Favorite Librarians. I'm Denise Corey.
I'm Chantel Taylor, and today we're talking about the Women's Prize for Fiction.
And we are recording in my house, so we'll see how many cat interruptions there are.
Yeah, there could be cats.
It could happen. There are cats. There are definitely cats.
So, do you want to tell me about the Women's Prize? Because when you originally assigned this, I was like, Women's Prizes in Fiction. And I went Googling, and then I was like, oh, no, it's an actual
There's a
thing.
specific award called the Women's Prize for Fiction. It used to be called the Orange Prize.
Okay.
So you maybe have heard it as the Orange Prize. So they started that. It was first awarded in 1996. And at that time, it was called the Orange Prize for Fiction because Orange was their primary sponsor. And Orange is a cell phone company in the UK.
Okay.
So the Orange Prize for Fiction then changed its name to the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction, and now it's just the Women's Prize for Fiction. And that was all based on having different sponsors who were sponsoring the prize, and then they just changed the name and decided that it's just the Women's Prize.
Yeah, it's easier to be that. I expected it, because I just looked at sort of previous winners. I did glance at the short list for this year. I had expected I'm not going to recognize one title on this list of winners. And I was actually shocked at how many I did recognize.
Yeah, so they've been doing this for 25 years.
Yes.
And what's really interesting is it was born in 1992. The Booker Prize, the shortlist, contained not one woman writer.
Not shocking.
Mm-hmm. So the people who put together the Women's Prize for Fiction, because of that, they said, there should be a prize just for women authors, because in that time period, women were publishing 60% of the literary fiction and not being recognized with prizes or even listed on the short list. So, so of the 25,
yes,
I have read 4.
Okay, I've read 0.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're not, some of them are Canadian, but they're not all Canadian. But I guess you predominantly read romance.
Yeah, I'm not reading, because there's a lot of literature on this list. Vivian is trying to convince me I need to read The Song of Achilles by Madeleine Miller.
Right.
Which did win previously.
It won in 2012. I mean, you really love that Lore Olympus webcomic.
Soon to be book. I'm going to count it like 100 times when it arrives in book form that I read it this year. It's going to be like 25 of my reads this year.
And Achilles is also that Greek mythology.
Yes. So. Vivian loved it.
I like the cover. I was never drawn in. The ones that I have read of the award winners are Larry's Party by Carol Shields.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Canadians there.
Yeah, well, the award started in 1996, and the winner in 1997 and the winner in 1998 were both Canadian.
Nice.
Anne Patchett's Bel Canto.
I tried to read that.
You didn't like it?
No.
I read it. Jen recommended it to me. She loved it.
Of course she did.
It's a good book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We need to talk about Kevin by
I watched
Lionel
the movie.
Shriver. The book was a hard slog for me. I read it because I did it with book club. And the one that I've just read is the winner from last year, Hamnet and Judith by Maggie O'Farrell. And I don't understand what happened. I think it's probably the difference between US or Canadian or UK publishing, because the copy that the library owns is called Hamnet and Judith, but the copy that won the award has been retitled to Hamnet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And if you look it up on Overdrive, the copy on there is just called Hamnet. So I don't know if there's like, if the Canadian publisher decided that it should be called Hamnet and Judith. Not sure.
Well, and sometimes, I mean, not that it's lost in translation, but maybe it was a better title for a British or European audience. Maybe it was...
I mean, it really does...
There could have been like something close to that.
It really does focus on Hamnet's death. So Hamnet was Shakespeare's son, one of his...
Oh, yes. You were talking about this.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
One of his 3 children, and Hamnet and Judith were twins. And then Hamnet died at the age of 11 from the bubonic plague, like you do in the 1500s. And then it's really about how it impacted their family and their family life. And a few years later, Shakespeare wrote the play Hamlet.
Okay.
And, you know, the author is kind of supposing that he did this as a way of, you know, keeping his child or keeping him alive or what have you. So anyway, I enjoyed it. It was good. I literally finished it last night. And one of the reasons that we have this on our list is because it's a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt to read a winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction.
So is there a Goodreads list? Because usually for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenges, there is a Goodreads list. I didn't actually do much research beyond the website.
Yeah, I just went onto their website.
I'll Google it.
Wikipedia also has a page on it that has all of the shortlists for each year as well, along with the winner. So I don't know that you would need a Goodreads list for this.
They do have a really nice website that was easy to navigate, and you could see like very easily. You didn't have to like go through pages and pages to see the winners. It was the winners. But I don't know if a Goodreads list would include like the previous shortlists as well. And because I didn't look to see if I could find that.
On the Women's Prize for Fiction website, they also have discussion guides for all of their winners. And they have a podcast where they talk about the books and the shortlist books and other books by women authors, so that they're trying to bring them to people's attention. So you've read none of these?
None.
Not even with your book club or anything?
No.
Okay. Huh.
Are you really shocked? Because I wasn't shocked. I'm surprised I knew anyone's name on this list. Because I thought, oh, this is going to be... Well, number one, I assumed it was going to be all UK authors. And sometimes those can be very different from North American authors. And I just assumed, oh, I'm not going to know anything.
It is a UK prize, but it is international in scope. So their criteria are the author needs to be a woman. It needs to be a fiction book published within the last year. It has to have been published in the UK, but a lot of books are published in multiple countries at the same time, and it needs to have been written in English, so they're not dealing with translations. But yeah, the Canadians have been shortlisted multiple times and have won multiple times. Margaret Atwood has been shortlisted something like 5 times for this award, and she has never won.
So they do have a couple of different Goodreads lists. They have a Women's Prize for Fiction winners, and I can see winners: Hamnet, An American Marriage, Home Fire, The Power, How to Be Both, A Girl is a Half-Formed Thing, and then nominees. And so Unsettled Ground, Transcendent Kingdom, which I believe is nominated this year by Yagasai, which we talked about and I couldn't say Transcendent.
So this year's shortlist is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, which I have seen in a lot of lists this year. A lot of people are really talking about that book. Unsettled Ground by Claire Fuller, Transcendent Kingdom, which you had just mentioned.
Yeah, I just like saying Yagasai.
It's a fun name. How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Sherry Jones, and No One is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood. So I think it looks like a good list. And because I have looked this list up for both for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompt and for us to do this radio show, I am going to add several of the past award winners to my list of books I want to read.
So what do you think you're going to add?
I want to read, and this is on the short list, so I don't know if it's going to win. No one is talking about this. Looks interesting. I tried to read An American Marriage, and I couldn't get into it. And I tried to read The Power, and I couldn't get into it. You haven't?
No.
I'm like, have you? No.
Don't even bother.
No. Marianne Robinson, Home. I know that her trilogy, her Gilead trilogy, is Oprah recommendation right now.
Oh.
So I think maybe I'll give that a try. I don't know. Some of these are on my list already, and some of these I'll be looking at. And I think that I'll also start paying attention to this award more and trying to find things on it. Like, you know, watching for the short list every year and seeing if there are things on the short list I want to read. What are you reading right now? And I say this because I know what you're reading right now.
Do you? Oh, yeah, because I texted it to you. I am currently listening to Wolf Gone Wild. The audiobook came out last week by the time you were listening to this, and I had it on my wish list. I'm very excited. I listened to a sample, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this because it's a dual narrator. It's a man and a woman. And I don't know if they're going to do this for all of them, but I feel like with Mateo and Alpha, because he's got like sort of the wolf in his head, you really do kind of need a man to do his part because Alpha's pretty funny and I am so enjoying this.
Does the narrator change his voice between?
Yes.
Mateo? Yeah, he would have to because Alpha would need to be deeper and growlier.
And there's just been some really, really funny scenes with Alpha and Mateo. And of course, no one can tell what he's doing. And he sort of just goes off into space because this wolf is talking in his head because he can't shift. So I am loving it. I was hoping that the second book would kind of already be on its way out. And maybe the third book, which comes out in July, the audiobook would come out with it. But I don't see the second book in my Audible library yet.
So the second book is Don't Hex and Drive.
Yes.
And we do have these in book
form, yes.
In book copy at the library.
I actually haven't checked Hoopla to see if they've arrived on Hoopla yet, so I should actually do that. Because Penny Reed, with all of her like sort of independent, she's got her own like publishing house, Smarty Pants Books. All of hers are available on Hoopla. So I didn't check to see if maybe they've arrived on Hoopla.
What's the author's name?
Juliet Cross.
I read Wolf Gone Wild. It's a good beach read.
It is. It would be a really good summer. We've talked about this book 100 times. If you've never read like a paranormal romance or like you want to sort of dip your toe into the water, this is a really great book. The world building is really simple. There's not a lot of complicated things. There are a lot of characters and you sort of meet people, but not every single thing is explained. There's 6 sisters, but 2 of them are away. And then, so it's a nice, easy thing to kind of, if you've never read and you want to try, this is a great book to start with.
I'm not seeing it on Hoopla.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I thought I would check.
So, are you reading anything else?
Well, we're recording 2 shows back to back, so I'm going to save my next thing for the next show.
I've finished 36 books this year and 29 of the 50 Pop Sugar Reading Challenge prompts.
Wow.
So I'm more than halfway through my Pop Sugar Reading Challenge and we're coming into my heavy reading season.
Yes.
And especially right now, you can't go anywhere.
No.
So reading on the deck is what I'm doing.
Speaking of which, let's talk about Summer Reading Club.
Let's.
So, yeah, okay. So we're back in lockdown again right now until June. So We are 99% sure that this summer is going to be virtual again. However, Summer Reading Club is happening. You can start registering on June the 15th and probably this week, which is the week of May the 24th, we think. That's when we're recording this for.
We're a little discombobulated by this whole...
We may have missed a week. Neither one of us remember doing it, but we do remember doing it.
Maybe
I'm sure
we did
in a
fugue state.
Maybe. So advertising is going to be going up in the next couple of weeks. Like I said, registration starts June the 15th. Holly and Julie have some really fun things planned. We're going to do a Fold It Friday starting the week of June 15th, where Holly and Julie are going to show you some origami. We're going to have an outdoor kit that people can register for. Julie's going to have all kinds of fun stuff online. There's going to be lots of cool books coming out this summer to read for everybody. And hopefully by June 15th, we may be open again. Knocking on wood. I can't really because that'll disturb the recording, but I'm knocking on wood.
With us being closed to the public right now, that doesn't mean that we're not still offering services.
No, it doesn't.
We are mailing books to your house. Absolutely free. We will mail books to your house. We also have grab and go pickup, which is contactless. And we're offering that in 5 locations: Advocate, Amherst, Parsboro, Pugwash, and Spring Hill. We have all kinds of online things. So there's lots of stuff out there.
I know it's not as fun. A lot of people, especially kids, like to come in and look at books and pick out things that they think look fun. And again, fingers crossed that will be open in time for Summer Reading Club, that people can come in and browse books. But hopefully we can have some reading lists to recommend for people, and we can maybe post some picture books and new books we have coming in, and you can place some holds if we're still locked down. Fingers crossed we're not.
Yes, I miss seeing people. It makes me sad not to see people. I worked the grab and go in Amherst a couple of Wednesday nights ago, and it was just so nice. I mean, I know we're more than 6 feet apart and we're still masked, but it was so nice to see people and just be able to put their books out for them and know that we're still providing them service, and just to see people.
So fingers crossed, but Summer Reading Club is a go. We're looking at doing lots of fun prizes. You'll be able to email us your ballots or drop them in the book drop if we're not physically open. So Summer Reading Club is a go.
And it's for ages 3 to 103.
Yes.
So we have a kids one, we have a teens one, we have an adult one. You will be able to find information on the website, which is
www.cumberlandpubliclibraries.ca.
And do you know what else we have coming up?
Oh, yes, I do.
We're going to... And thanks for not sharing. We're going to do a Facebook Live on Friday, May 28th at 3 o'clock. Chantel and I are going to talk about the Trickster trilogy.
Yes.
Which I love.
Yes. And I'm not saying a word.
Which is disconcerting to me.
Yes.
So do you know what we're talking about next week?
I do.
What are we talking about next week?
Next week, we're going to talk about books on creativity.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Talk to you next week.
Bye.
My Two Favorite Librarians. Brought to you by the Copper Tree Boutique in Dales Grand Market, located in beautiful, historic downtown Amherst.